Hey kids, my name is Mr. Eual, making it clear, making it plain, opening up the heavens for my teaching is like spring rain. And today, we are going to look into the sounds that are in the Bible, specifically the different types of horned instruments. Let's go. All right, so before I get started, I want to introduce you to my good friend, Mr. Aerophone. The aerophone is an electronic wind instrument, okay? And it can imitate many sounds just like a keyboard. And actually the aerophone is gonna help me with my lesson today because we're gonna specifically talk about the different types of horns, okay? Now an aerophone is any instrument that you blow into, and when you blow into it, it creates vibrations, and the vibrations creates what is called a sound, okay? So there are actually two types of aerophones. They are called brass instruments, and then they are also called woodwind instruments. Today we will only talk about the horns or the brass. Okay, so the first instrument we are going to talk about is called the Cutin or the Cutin. It's spelled Q-E-R-E-N, Cutin. So that is a Jewish name for an instrument that is typically a trumpet or a type of horn. Now this horn is typically made out of an ox or a bull's horn, okay? And so this is the most common form of horn that is actually mentioned in the Bible. If you were to look up the word horn or trumpet, this word Cutin would actually show up most frequently, okay? And it is specifically a horn that is dedicated to the Jewish traditions, okay? So it's really the generic name of a horn that is made from the horn of an animal, okay? Now kids, the next type of horn is actually not mentioned in the Bible many times. The only time it's really mentioned is when Daniel is in Babylon under the rulership of the king Nebuchadnezzar, okay? And why was this particular type of horn named differently? It's called the Karna, Q-A-R-N-A, the Karna. And so the Karna is actually probably a similar type of horn as the Cutin. However, because this horn was specifically used to bring people into worshiping a pagan god, they probably gave it a different name, the Karna, instead of the Cutin. And so that's really the only time that the word Karna is used to describe a horn, and it's actually designated to be a musical horn. So that could be any type of trumpet that is used to play real music, not just to make a signal. So let me demonstrate what type of sound that the Karna would probably make. Okay kids, so if you recognize that sound is actually the theme song of the president, okay? So typically, I would think that the Karna is actually used to bring attention to some deity, or not even a deity all the time, but even an important person of stature who is not necessarily in Jewish tradition or in Jewish customs or in Jewish culture, okay? So that word Karna was probably derived just for any instrument or any horn that was made outside of Jewish culture and was not adopted by the culture, okay? All right, so the next instrument that we're gonna talk about is probably the one you are definitely the most familiar with. It is called the Shofar, S-H-O-F-A-R, Shofar. Why is the shofar so important? Well, this is the most commonly used horn that is used in many of the Jewish traditions and festivals and feasts. So what makes the shofar so different is that it can actually be made from several different types of animal horns. And those types of horns come from either a bull, a goat, a ram, a gazelle, or even an antelope. So there could be a variety of shofars. However, there is one shofar that is truly special. So let's talk about this really special shofar. It's called the Jubilee shofar, or the Shofar Eual. So let's spell that last word out, Eual. Y-O-V-E-L, Eual. The Shofar Yovel, or the Jubilee Shofar, because let's just be simple. It's easier to say Jubilee Shofar. Well, the word Jubilee is a word for freedom, and that freedom was expressed 50 days after having left Egypt, 50 days after Jesus was resurrected from the dead, which is Pentecost. So Jubilee is specific to celebrations that surround the number 50, okay? Whether it's 50 years, 500 years, 50 days. 50 is an important number in Jewish tradition, okay? And it's actually an important number if we're a Christian, because that's why we celebrate Pentecost, okay? This shofar is actually mentioned when Moses was getting ready to go up Mount Sinai with some priests, selected priests, or selected members of the nation of Israel to ascend the mountain of the Lord, to ascend Mount Sinai, and to get to know them. And before they ascended, they blew into the Jubilee shofar, and it released a musical and thunderous sound. So what's special about this shofar, the Jubilee shofar, is that it is musical and it is thunderous in its nature, in its sound, and it is highly refined. There is so much attention to detail in the craftsmanship and making sure that there are no defects in this particular horn. Now, this horn can typically come from a type of goat where the horn spirals, okay? And I mean, it just looks beautiful. Honestly, I want one. I mean, I have my trusty aerofoam, but I do want, a Jubilee shofar. It just looks so pretty and so shiny, Okay, I'm sorry, I'm acting like a little kid. So now that I have gone over with you or given you a scope of what a shofar is, let's actually demonstrate what a shofar may sound like. The shofar is actually an instrument that it doesn't have a lot of notes, okay? But you can put together different lengths of notes, different sequences of the notes, and produce a signal that communicates a certain meaning. So the shofar can be used in a variety of ways, and I'm actually going to demonstrate 3 of those for you. I really hope that you enjoyed those different variations of fanfares. Fanfares, different sequences and arrangements of notes, usually repetitive notes. A lot of times the shofar was used to either imitate or to express some type of powerful sound, okay? If you think about the walls of Jericho falling down, they were likely blowing on a shofar or blowing into a shofar and producing a loud and thunderous sound that would summon forth the power of God to take down that city of Jericho. I just find that absolutely amazing. Come on. Can you make a joyful noise unto the Lord right now, just using your voice? Ah! Okay, I hope you got your energy out of you, because we got to keep it moving. Okay? All right, so this is going to be the last instrument that I talk about. It's called the Hatsotsrah. Let me go through that again. Hatsotsrah. So how do we spell it? H-A-T-S-O-T, S with a little E, R-A-H. Hatsotsrah. So, what is so special about the Hatsotsrah? Well, these horns were actually made from metal. Moses was even commanded to make silver trumpets. So this is actually the closest type of instrument that we have to our modern day trumpets, our trombones, and so forth. They're typically made out of metal. Now, what also makes these horns special is that typically it was the priest who would only hold these horns, okay? Moses often gave commands from God to make articles for the temple and for the glory and the worship of God. And they had to be specially handcrafted. And typically the priests were the only ones who were allowed to handle those handmade tools. Isn't that amazing? Thank God that you, if you believe in Jesus, then you are actually a part of a royal priesthood that can actually handle these types of instruments. Okay, so back to business, the Hatsotsrah. I did say that right. Yeah, Hatsotsrah. All right, so let me give you a demonstration of what an Hatsotsrah would actually be used for. I really hope you recognize that sound. Where did that sound come from? You may have heard it on an army base or in an army TV show. So the Hatsotsrah is special because it is actually used for many different activities that are social, that are religious, that are even warlike, battlefield. So even the Hatsotsrah would be used to maybe summon the leaders of the tribes together. But the Hatsotsrah would even be used to tell people when to begin working and when to stop working at the end of the day. So the Hatsotsrah was used as a communication tool within Israel, within the Jewish culture. And then when they were on the battlefield, the priest could even summon armies or summon troops to go in specific directions based on how many times they blew into the Hatsotsrah. So that's it, guys. That's the Hatsotsrah, or more like the trumpet that we know today. The trumpet. Do-do-do-do. I don't even know why I did that when I have my friend Aerophone right next to me. Okay, so let's review. We have the Cutin, we have the Cardinal, and we have the Shofar. We have the Shofar Eual, or the Jubilee Shofar, and then finally we got the Hatsotsrah. If you can say that name 5 times fast, then you are just filled with the grace and the power of God in speech. May the grace of God be with you, young children, to pronounce the word Hatsotsrah. Let's go. So that concludes today's lesson, kids. I really hope you enjoyed this lesson, learning about the sounds in the Bible, especially the different types of horns. You know, I really hope that at the end of this, you're motivated to learn how to play a musical instrument. Maybe you want to play the trumpet, or the trombone, or the tuba, or maybe an aerophone just like me. Oh my goodness, wouldn't that be fantastic? Maybe I can give you lessons, you know, I'm just saying. All right, wouldn't you love to take lessons with Mr. Eual? Come on now. Okay, so again, I really hope you enjoyed this. I'm looking forward to being your teacher again concerning the sounds of the Bible. Have a great day. Have a blessed day, kids. Bye-bye.